Hi, this is Jake Northey from Creative Minds, back with another video. This past week we've been talking a lot about our core values, and we're going to continue that talking about teamwork, which is one of our core values. Previously we talked about learning, we talked about craftsmanship. The other two core values are teamwork and diversity, which go really well together. And so one of the things that comes up often is, how do you build software teams? How do you make a team that's going to build great high quality software? So the first question you have to answer is, what is the team going to be doing? Is this team going to build a whole software product? Are they going to build the back end, the front end? They can do some DevOps work to get it deployed? Or is this team kind of a smaller team which is going to be working on a bigger project? So they have one component, maybe a microservice or a micro front end that they're focused on, and they're going to specialize and do that one component and take it through its life cycle. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what the team's working on. So for product teams, you really want cross-functional team. You want a team that has all the skills they need to deliver a full product. This could be even UX, QA. If we're doing Scrum, we want a product owner in there. So there's a lot of different roles that are filled in a full kind of product team. We also call this a feature team. On a bigger project, a feature team is a team that's going to be doing big vertical slices, full stack, kind of front end, back end. They're going to work on the entire life cycle of a feature, from straight through, shooting an arrow straight into the back end, putting the data in the database, every aspect of that. So on a smaller kind of product team, it's very similar to a feature team on a large project where you have skills kind of across the board, needing to be able to do anything. So a lot of times people ask me, well, okay, Creative Minds specializes in full stack teams. That means it's all full stack developers, and my answer is yes, well, most people are full stack developers at Creative Minds. But when you're making a full stack team, you don't actually have to have all the individual contributors being full stack developers, right? We want the overall team to be full stack, meaning they can work on any part of the application, any part of the product or component we're building, but we don't necessarily have to have everybody be full stack. And this leads into the conversation about T-shaped skills and T-shaped individuals, where you want a collection of T-shaped individuals, where T-shaped being, the breadth of the individual is how much different things they know, and the depth is how deep they know those things, right? So if we're building a full stack team, we're gonna want somebody who's really deep on the front end. Like if we're using React, we want somebody who's done React for a while and understands it really deeply. But if the back end is Java, again, we'll want an individual who probably knows some React, knows some front end, but is really deep in Java. And so if we take those two individuals and put them on a team, now we know we have the depth that we need on React and Java. And overall, the team is really deep in all the areas that it needs to be. This gets right into what we talk about with diversity. And diversity for us is really just any kind of different background, different skill set, different experiences that individuals bring to a team. So if you have an individual who's been really good doing UI development for a long time, really understands CSS, really understands the DOM and JavaScript and everything, that individual can be deep in that area and still be able to kind of do other things like write Java in the back end. But you take that individual and then you put somebody that's really deep on the back end, now they're learning from each other like crazy. You have somebody who's really deep in React and they can explain, oh, well, this is how the flexbox works in CSS now. We're using this, right? Maybe the individual who's doing Java hasn't done the front end development for a while, so they haven't learned kind of the latest and greatest kind of web development, best practices like using flexbox for layouts and things like that. So that's where diversity really comes in, because if we take a team of full stack developers and they're all kind of deep in the same areas, we're not learning as much from each other, right? And we might get along well because we're all kind of thinking the same way, but ultimately our team isn't as capable as if we're bringing individuals who have different backgrounds and kind of diverse experiences to the team. So again, when we're building teams, we're trying to find kind of a set of people who are going to add value to each other, help each other learn and be better in the different areas, so that we can build whatever we're tasked with building to the best of the collective ability. Individually, we don't all have to be able to do everything, but it helps, right? It helps. So when we talk about teams, we talk about these cross-functional teams. And the main reason for having a cross-functional team is because the team has one goal, right? We are delivering this feature, we are delivering this product. And by having everybody who's involved in delivering that software on one team, everybody's got that same goal. if we split people up on different teams, you might have, a UX team, and you might have a backend team and a front end team, and you might have like a QA team. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, QA is focused on delivering this stuff. Their goal is actually out this way. UX is really focused on this other product that we're building. And, the backend team has to do all this refactoring. And so now we have all these different goals for these different teams, and we have to try to align them to get, actual client deliveries out of these different teams. And it becomes very hard and challenging because, this individual team might really want to be delivering this product, but they're held up because they don't have enough UX resources to actually give them mock-ups for what they're trying to build. And so they're going to be less efficient than if everybody was on the same team. So we talk about these cross-functional teams. We're bringing all those people into one team, and that single team can do a lot more by having everybody they need to complete the work that they're given, right? If I'm building a product, I want somebody from UX to be able to work with me day to day to say, hey, I'm starting to build this, but I don't know how to handle this case. What happens if I click on the button? Does it change color, right? Or what happens if I hover over? Is there something here? And maybe that isn't shown in the UX mock. Now, if we had separate teams, sure, I can go reach out to whoever made the mock and reach out to them, but I don't know what their priorities are. They might be busy doing some other work, and I'm interrupting them. I'm creating work for them that they did not have planned. And so when we have a cross-functional team, we reduce unplanned work because everybody's focusing on the same task, on the same goal, and we have the same kind of deliverables. And we're able to produce things a lot faster, right? We would remove all those dependencies, remove all that unplanned work, and we're now able to move a lot faster to a common goal. So that's one of the key things about cross-functional teams. The trade-off, though, is if you have a lot of different people doing different roles, the work the team does now doesn't maybe move as smooth in some cases. So for instance, let's say we had 10 UI developers and 1 UX. Well, now all of a sudden we find that the UX person's overloaded, right? Every sprint they're working with 10 different people, and they're having to kind of be split between the different people and the different work. Or opposite, let's say we have 1 UX person, 2 developers, and now all of a sudden we don't have quite as much UX work as we would before. Same thing goes for QA and maybe back-end, front-end stuff. And so for us, having full-stack developers means, maybe the full-stack developers aren't doing UX work, but having a set of full-stack developers means that they can move between different parts of the code base at least. So in this case, UX work might not be easy to divvy up, but if we had one sprint which was all back-end work, and we only have 2 back-end developers and 3 front-end developers, well, now we're going to be in trouble. We're going to have to find something else for the front-end developers to work on that maybe isn't towards our immediate goal, but something that's off in the future. Whereas if we had full-stack developers and we have 5 developers, they're all full-stack, everybody can do back-end and front-end. If we have something that's very front-end or very back-end focused that we're trying to do right at the, that's the current high priority, now everybody can focus on doing that work, and everybody can sit down and make sure that's delivered. This is very similar to kind of like how things work in Scrum in a sprint. Now, if you have a sprint, you have, the team has a set of tasks. Let's say we have 10 tasks and we have five people on the team. If we get through our 5 tasks and then we do another 5 tasks, everybody's fine. But what tends to actually happen is one person gets stuck on something. Maybe this is your lead developer getting stuck on some huge, new improvement to the software or new library that they're trying to bring in. And all of a sudden, that lead developer, maybe they're back-end focused, is kind of held up. And you've got maybe 3 other things that you want to do on the back end. As you get towards the end of the sprint, it's like, oh, we can't do these 3 things because our back-end lead developer doesn't have the capacity, they're stuck on their thing. And maybe we don't have other back-end developers. But if you put a team of full-stack developers together, you can smooth out those issues by having anybody being able to do any task, right? So that's one of the values of teams in Scrum is anybody being able to do any task makes things smoother. If you have 10 tasks that can only be done by 10 different individuals, things are not going to be as smooth. So we want as many individual contributors who can do many pieces of the puzzle as possible, whether it's back end, front end, DevOps, we might have some front end developers who like to dabble in UX. We might be developing automated tests, and anybody on the team can develop automated tests, so we're doing QA as well. So as many individual contributors can do more of the full stack, any type of work that we have on our team, the better the team is going to perform, especially when we're using processes like Scrum. So that's how we build software teams, especially at Creative Minds. That's how we recommend, our clients build software teams. There's a lot more depth into this. This is just kind of like when we look at that T-shape, this is like a T-shaped video. We have a lot of the breadth on the topics, but we're gonna go deeper into each of those in future videos. Thanks for your time today, and look forward to more from Creative Minds. We hope you enjoyed the video today. For more tips and best practices in software development, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like this video.